Good morning, my friends. I am not walking today. This is my time that I usually do a walk and talk. I walk 6 to 8 miles a day, and I carry around a little camera, and we talk about all sorts of things. But it is rainy, and it is soggy, and it is wet. And today, I've decided not to go out into the rain and the sog and the wet. I am going to go walk inside at a rec center, but it's too loud and noisy there. The fans, the equipment, the people, so it doesn't work for me to do my broadcasting. Today we're working on forgiveness. So the loving behavior we're dealing with today is be willing to forgive others for what they do in fear and anger. So that is a hot and loaded topic for sure. So we're going to peel it apart, at least part of it today. We may do this in a 2 or 3 part series because forgiveness is a big deal, and it's not like that. Just forgive. It doesn't work that way. Some things it does, but for most things, it does not. So we're going to peel it apart because I would love for you to know what it actually is. Anyway, I'm Ann Ferguson. This is Leaning In with Ann, and this is something I do every weekday morning. So we've had some talks about this before, but I really want to kind of go into some of those reasons why we don't forgive. One of the things I would love to establish is that forgiveness is not relationship. So I'm going to say that again. Forgiveness is not relationship. Forgiveness is also not trust, right? That trust is different. So I have a relationship in which it was pretty dicey years ago, where a family member would disown me. So there were little things that would happen. In my world, they were little. In this person's world, they were huge. And he didn't have a lot of emotional regulation yet. And so he would blow up and then cut me off. And it would be like a year or 2 without talking to me. And it would happen over and over. And I could hold against him that, but I chose not to. I chose to be forgiving, but I did not enter back into relationship. Now later on, he called one day, and there was this awareness that had happened, and he said, "I'm sorry. I've treated you really poorly over the years. I don't want to do this anymore, and will you please forgive me?" My response was, "I've already forgiven. I just don't trust you." And the trust is honestly something that's going to take time. So I'm not sure that you're not going to go off the rails again on me. So my heart is open, but this is yours to help me feel safe in the relationship. So right now I'm very leery of being in a relationship with you. I just need you to know that. So whatever you need to do, I'm not rejecting you. I have already forgiven you, but now it's yours to do something. And I'll tell you what, he did. He totally did. And we have a relationship now, and it's very precious to me because it was safe to enter a relationship. Now my forgiveness happened way before that. And it had happened repeatedly because this was not the only time that I had been disowned. That is really hard, right? When you're not forgiven, that's really hard. So let's take this the other direction. How much forgiveness are you withholding, and why? So I had a conversation with somebody, and this is the place that I really want to address because I think it's a place that we're not talking about very often, and I think it's really rampant. So we may do this in 2 parts. We'll see what I can do today, and then we may take another element tomorrow. Being forgiven of something you supposedly did. It's kind of like that, right? So this conversation is for 2 sides. Number 1, if you are a Gen Xer like me, this is for you. And if you are a Gen Xer's child, this is for you. Because there's a thing that's going on right now. In our past, Gen Xers in your family, shame was something that was part of our life. Duty, honor, don't disgrace the family's name. I am your mother, and therefore you need to treat me like this. And you need to stay in relationship. How could you do this to your mother? All of those kind of things, right? How could you do this to your dad? That is interesting because in the past, that worked. Let me tell you what's not working. It doesn't work for our kids. Why? Because I was kind of a rebel, honestly, because of some of the things that was going on with my dad. He was not an overt narcissist. He never hit me. He provided food and shelter and did all the things a good dad does, and stayed married with my mom until I left the house, and all the things that equal good. So to him, because he was my father, I owed him things. And I owed him really my guilt and shame anytime he was upset. That's, if I didn't do it according to his way, then I was guilted and shamed. And, I owed him that because he had been good to me. And after a while, guys, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I'm kind of a little bit of a rebel because I did that pretty early. I was 19 when that happened. And I kept continuing in and out of relationship with him until finally I just said, I honestly can't. I can't anymore. And so I cut off relationship with him. I did not cut off forgiveness. I had already processed a lot of the reasons why he was like he was and what he did. And none of it was malicious at all, but it was real and it was damaging to me. It was damaging to my heart, and it kept me in an emotional spin of guilt and shame that permeated into the rest of my world. So I was always not enough, and there was a lot. It affected my relationship with God because, God calls himself Father. And so I projected on emotions and character traits that my dad had onto God, and that made me not trust God, made me not want to be around God. And for me to continue to feel so ashamed and like I wasn't worthy and I wasn't deserving and I haven't done enough and I wasn't perfect enough and I shouldn't feel bad and I shouldn't feel this and I shouldn't feel that, that was my relationship with God. And so when I finally said, no, I found out who God is, because he's not like an earthly parent. Like he's like this celestial being, and he's actually really, really good at parenting. He's not a puny human. And I'm a puny human. My dad's a puny, we're all puny humans. He's like really got this thing down. And step one in forgiveness is putting your relationship and trust there. So if you have to cut off relationship and trust somewhere else, you can put it to God. Now, here's the thing. I worked most of my existence. From 19 on, you would not believe how many self-help books I have on my shelf. So many. And the next big philosophy, and every time God showed me something, I would research and I would try to find it because I didn't want to be like him. So I did lots of things trying not to be like him. Guess what? The problem is, I learned adulting from him. And I learned parenting from him. And even though I wasn't exactly like him, there were things that I didn't realize he was doing that was not good as a parent. I didn't know. I hadn't been able to sort this out. So I found a book. Some of you guys know about this, but you need to get it. It's called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Changed my whole world. Why? Because it finally gave some names and information about what was going on. He wasn't adulting, like his adulting was great. He provided for us. His immaturity emotionally was severe. That's real. And I picked up on some of those things in relationship with my kids. I didn't even know. I worked so hard to change the effects on me and keep me strong, that I didn't know that what I was doing with my kids was actually passing some of that on. So let me tell you what my kids did. Not all of them, but some of them have stopped a relationship with me. I was not my dad. Like, I did things so different than my dad, and the pain and the hurt and the I don't understand and all of that because of their hurt and anger that I didn't even see, I didn't recognize, I didn't know. So when this loving behavior comes up, be willing to forgive what people do to you or have done to you out of fear and anger. That, they're acting out of fear and anger. Be willing. Well, the things I did as a mom to treat my kids well, I thought I had done well, and now they're cutting me off. And that hurts. And that hurt, I have to forgive. But why should I forgive it? Because I didn't even do anything wrong. That's what I thought. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing this, and it hurts. This is why I said this is a Gen Xer conversation. Here's the reality of what happened. I behaved as my dad behaved with me. You ready? One of my biggest is my dad taught me that to repent or admit your guilt, admit that you've done something wrong, is you've got to show the appropriate amount of shame. You've got to be very ashamed. And if you feel bad enough, that means you understand. So I don't know about you guys, but for most women, there is somebody named Psycho Wench that lives in us, and she shows up when hormones are crazy. And I used to joke about that, but not just so that I could kind of get out of the guilt and shame that I felt when she would come up. I found out later that me joking about that really, really hurt my kids, because when Psycho Wench would come out, it hurt them. And yell and scream, and I wouldn't call them names, but I'd be mad and I'd blame them. And if they would just, then I wouldn't feel, like all of that kind of stuff, right, that goes on. And so that's what I did. I did lose it on them when they were kids. Have I forgiven myself? Yes, I know that there is a hormonal thing that happens. It was never intentional, but this is what I did. When I went to go apologize to my children, I came in a lot of shame. I'm so sorry. You probably deserve a better mom than me. I'm trying my best, but I don't know what I'm doing, and you just keep suffering the consequences of all of my stuff, and I'm so, so sorry. And right, all of the shame that I was taught equals acknowledging you're wrong. You know what it actually did? It caused my children, they don't want me to feel bad, so they would start taking care of my shame. Oh, Mom, it's okay. I love you. And guess what they never heard? An actual apology. They never heard, hey, so when I yell and scream like that, it's probably pretty scary for you, right? Yeah, I don't like it when I yell and scream. And I'm really, really sorry that you felt afraid. And by the way, I blamed you for this, and it's actually not your fault. Like, your brother screams and yells at me too, even when there's nothing going on. So I know you didn't do anything that would cause that. Or I understand how frustrating it can be. And I know that when I'm like that, I'm not very safe. That's hard, right? When I'm not safe. Come here. I really am sorry, and I would love to be safe for you. Just see the difference in that. I did not know how to do that. So my children learned to take care of my shame. And they did it enough. And we had enough tragedy in our world, enough yuck, that eventually, as they got older, I was still doing the same kind of thing because I didn't know. And they cut off relationship with me. That hurt. I'm so proud of them. I didn't say that I'm proud of them. I might have. And it's not all of them, it's some of them. One particular, I asked, would you mind going to therapy with me? I would love to fix this. And the answer was no. I am not ready. I'm dealing with some other things and I don't want to have a relationship with you. Oh, how do you forgive that? Because I've done every single thing. How do you forgive when children don't want to have a relationship with you when you did every single thing you could possibly do? You take a deep breath and you recognize the fact that you do not get to tell them how long it takes to heal. What they're doing, guys, when our children stop having a relationship with us, is they're breaking the generational habits and wounds that our families and our systems have caused. And I know it's painful, and I know it's rough, and I know it hurts. And I also know that your children are not the one to heal you. Even when they're the ones that, because of their behavior, you're having pain, they are not the ones that can heal it. And as long as you're requiring them to take care of your emotions and be good, because how dare you do this to your mother? She has done all of this for you. Why in the world would you not be around her and give her the same kind of respect that she gave you when you were kids because you were difficult and she stayed in the game and she didn't abandon you? All of those conversations, it's not okay. And it's not okay for your kids to be the ones that are required to heal your wounds, even the wounds that they caused. Guess what? It's not anybody else's job to heal your wounds. My dad never healed my wounds, but he caused them. But he never healed them. Why? Because there is a Savior of this world, and He is the one who gets to heal. He is the only one who can heal. Have you ever had anybody, guys, who has finally said that they're sorry to you and you still don't feel sunshiny and okay all of a sudden? Has that ever happened? It's because they can't heal you. No matter what they say, no matter what agreements they've had, it can help when they acknowledge, sure, but they can't heal you. So this is where this comes from. I've said this before, but I really want to put it out to you for you to think about. Ready? We are told to forgive and we are taught not to. Let me show you how we're taught not to. So, ready? This is child A. Child A and child B are playing. Then child B starts poking child A. Taking the Legos, playing with things. Child A, stop, I'm trying to build. They knock it down. Child A forgives. They build up again, right? Eventually, child A smacks child B. Well, things are a problem with child B and they're screaming at the top of their lungs. Mom comes in. What is going on right now? He hit me. Child A, what in the world are you doing? It's stinging, like it was a good hit, right? Child A, you need to say you're sorry. We do not hit. There is nothing about hitting that is okay, and you do all the lecture thing. And child A is seething because they had been forgiving. Child B, kind of still whining, believing that they're the victim of the whole thing because you're not supposed to hit. And eventually, child B tries to sneak off, and mom says, no, you stay right here. They're going to take responsibility for this. But mom, I don't care what he did. You do not hit. Do not hit. You need to say you're sorry. Or you're going to go up to your room and you're going to not have this and you're not going to have that and all the things taken away. I'm sorry. You can tell it's not really valid, but go. You two go. All right? That teaches us one really big principle. Why can I go through that narrative so easily? Over and over again. 5 kids, that narrative happened a lot. Teaches child B, who is wounded, that child A has to say sorry in order for it to be over. Somebody must take responsibility and accountability and admit their guilt, or You're not healed, and it is not done. Child A, what do you learn? Oh my gosh, why would I forgive when they're the ones who did a thing? Like, or why should I say sorry? They're the ones. I'm going to hold on to my crap. Are you kidding me? They get away with everything. So there's just this seething that happens right there. You want to do this different? Okay. Child A, child B. Poke, 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 poke. Take the Legos. Shove the things down. Child A's trying to hold his shiz together. And finally goes smack. Wah! Mom runs into the room. What's going on? He hit me. Oh, he did. Darn it. Hey, child A, go sit down. Child A, I'm going to talk to you about, but, I promise I'm going to talk to you in a minute. Child A, let me see. So we soothe and we heal and we go, oh, child B, that is so sore. Do you want some ice? Would a kiss make you better? Why don't you go get a Go-Gurt, okay? Are you okay? Yeah, you're okay. All right, I'll talk to you later. And child B leaves. And then we go to child A. Hey, that didn't go very well. What's going on right now? He kept doing this, and he kept doing this, and he kept doing this. Oh, gosh. So he was poking you a lot. Yes, and are you frustrated? Yes, I'm so frustrated. And you don't like to play with him when he does that. I don't like to play with him when he does that, right? I can see that. I can see it's really, really frustrating. But it's not okay to hit. It's not okay to poke either. And it wasn't nice the way he was playing. I understand that. But we can't hit. So can we make a plan? Like, what do we do instead of hitting? Do you want to come talk to me? Is there like a signal, like you can do something and I know that something's up? Okay, how about that? So now, God is the one who deals with the emotions and the feelings of child A, calms that down. Christ was the one who healed, who took care of. It wasn't child A's responsibility. Now, you can go march child A over and say, hey, can you have a conversation with them? And so I'm really sorry that I hit you. What I don't like is when you knock down my Legos. If we're playing a knockdown game, that's fine, but it's not okay when I'm just trying to build. Okay? Having conversation. God the Father is the one who tells me, and Christ, who tells me, hey, nudge, nudge, there's this thing that you did. It wasn't super great. And I'm going to give you some clarity surrounding how that affected somebody else so that you can go have a conversation. Now, I'm already having my emotional responses be seen and be heard, and it's easier to let go. If I am just punished because somebody else was poking at me all the time, and nobody ever knows that that's the case, do they hide from me, or do they come and talk to me when things are going on? So, what I want you to know is this. You were taught to hang on. When it's not your fault, when people have stories that are not true about you, they're really, really mad because you did this and you did that and you didn't do it, but that is how they felt. That's really rough. God is the one who helps you. Now, the question is, you don't have to know how to forgive. The question is, are you willing? We're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. It's just about willingness. I don't have to know how to forgive big things. I can be willing to be healed and let God take care of whatever He's going to take care of, right? Forgiveness is you being healed by Christ's love first. And then you go have that conversation. You say, I don't know how to be okay with what they did. I don't know how to talk to them about what they did so that it will stop. I don't know. I'm asking you, can you kiss my wound? Can you help my heart not hurt? And then can you give me guidance about whether or not to enter a relationship or what to say? Because reconciliation happens when the bite of that pissosity is not as present. Now, I'm not saying don't feel upset. I'm not saying don't feel angry. I'm not saying don't let them know that you're angry. That's totally okay. That's all okay. But having the ability to pause and let a being higher than yourself do something for you so that you can have those conversations is really important. So the person that I talked to yesterday, she came to an awareness that the feelings that she had about her mother, her anger and her frustration, was okay to have. Totally okay. The time it took for her to heal with that is totally okay. Guess what? Her children have the right to take as long as they want and need to heal from the things that she unintentionally did. She unintentionally did things. So we can talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. I will give you this to ponder on. My dad, there were some pretty big things that happened when I was 20-ish years old with a partner that he has. And we were not ready for this situation. By the way, I am not homophobic. My dad is homosexual. I dealt and loved him for 30 years. That narcissism had nothing to do with homosexuality, just so that you know. But he was a narcissist. And there were things that were really not good. So when he got with his partner, by the way, back in the 1980s, there were gay pride marches, which were great. There was nothing for a child who was trying to wrap their brain around what was going on. The therapists could deal with people who had affairs. They didn't know how to deal with a child who's, and I wasn't a child, I was in my 20s, didn't know how to even process this yet and how to help me, right? Because all of a sudden the whole nature of what my perception of family was changed, and he exited family. He even had a newspaper article that says that his children were the product of his regret. That didn't feel too good. Anyway, when he got with his partner, it was very difficult to try to wrap our brains around what was going on. And my sister, she wasn't going to have anything to do with it. She's like, nope. So 6 months, 9 months, she kind of cut him off. Well, I came into town. I was living in Virginia. I came into town. My sister and I agreed that we would go and see Dad, and she would see Dad if I was there. So I called him up and said, hey, we're going to come. And he says, okay, well, why don't you meet us at McDonald's? And I said, no, there's no us. She's not ready. She's not ready. So there's no us, and 10 o'clock looks good. What about this time? And he says, yeah, we'll meet you there. And I go, no, Dad, there's no we, okay? She's ready to start talking to you. So that's what needs to happen. Okay, well, we'll see you there. He hangs up the phone. We go, and being the narcissist, he could not hear what she needed to enter back into a relationship. He forced it. She just needs to get over this. She needs to stop being judgmental. And we walked into McDonald's, and there was the partner. And my sister felt so hurt and betrayed, and he wasn't safe. And so she went and got on it. She goes, you can stay here if you want. She went and got on a city bus, and she went home. And I talked to my dad, and I'm like, what in the world did you do? And why did you do that? And how awkward for his partner. Oh my gosh, to have to withstand our not liking to be around yet. Like, that wasn't fair to him either, right? And so my dad said, well, she just needs to get over this. She's had enough time. And I remember saying to him, Dad, you do not get ever to decide how much time she needs to heal. None of that is your business. You do not get to navigate that. So now, how many years later? 30. I'm applying that to myself. Some of my kids have had a hard time because of the trauma of divorce. And even before that, some of the things that I did as a really young mom that didn't have emotional maturity. And guess what? I don't get to put the time limit on how long it takes for them to heal. So I'm going to leave you with that. And we're going to forgive our kids. We're going to forgive our parents. Thank you all for being here. I will see you tomorrow. And I think we're going to continue to talk about forgiveness because there's some other stuff besides just the parent-child relationship. Forgive them for the pain that is being caused while they heal, as they forgive you for the pain you caused. Turns out, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. Let God heal you. not your kids. That's it. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. See you.